some good news?
Good morning, everybody. Hey, happy Saturday. Hope everybody's doing well or happy whenever you guys are listening or watching this. We've got a lot to dive into, but hopefully you guys are all rocking and rolling this morning. Let me make sure and enable the chat roll for everybody so that you guys can ask questions. There we go. Boom and boom. So as we wait a few minutes here before everybody gets logged on here, I'd love for you guys that are already joining us live here on Zoom to jump in and share what part of the country you're joining us from. I see some regular friends, Brian and Lisa from up in Dallas. I see Cord. I see Sander, Vanessa. I see a few folks, familiar faces. I see somebody dialing in here from looks like an Austin number. Glad to have you here. We've got a lot to go through here. I expect us to be on for probably an hour, hour and a half, if maybe 2 hours. We'll cut it off at probably 2 hours, if not longer, or a little bit shorter, depending on what kind of questions you guys have. I am not going to be able to go through all 636 non-performing notes. And if you're going to want access to this, you're going to want to get signed up for our monthly membership, guys and gals. That's $97 a month to have access to this. We just don't blast this kind of stuff out, but that we provide tapes to our members on a regular basis and help you go through there. So uh, the folks that get first crack at this are our one-on-one coaching students, then followed by our monthly members at $97 a month. But 636 non-performing notes, residential first liens, a lot to go through. These are government loans, EBOs, they call them, early buyouts. They're non-performing, and when an early buyout is basically the lenders have decided, hey, let's get these things off our portfolio because they're non-performing, and B, they're at lower interest rates than what things are at right now. So technically, the banks are losing money on these because they're at lower interest rates than what current rates are. So most of these have a quite a bit of chunk of equity, but they're anywhere from 90 days behind to a couple years behind. So we will dive into more of that as we get rocking and rolling here today. But love to find out what part of the country you join us from. We are live streaming this obviously to YouTube, so guess I should click over on my profile to take a see who's joined us there live on YouTube this morning. We had quite a few folks register for the webinar, which is always great having people jump on here, and then we'll send the replays out. I'll probably restream this on Sunday, if anything, just so that other folks can take a look at. Let's see here. Trying to make sure. Boom, shakalaka. There we go. Let's pull them up here. There we go. And we got a few folks on there. Hey, good morning, Mr. L. Good to see you as well from there. We're going to try to monitor the Q&A on both YouTube here and Zoom pretty fast. Okay, so let's see what we got here. We got a question here from somebody. Good morning, Vanessa, joining us from Connecticut. What part of Connecticut? And the great thing about it, guys, if you tell me where you're at, I'll try to pull up some assets that are in your area and kind of take a look at and see what's going on with these things. But there's literally, it's kind of a chunk of three different portfolios here. All of them are non-performing. Vanessa's out of New Haven area. Awesome. Good stuff. As I sip my coffee this morning here, it's a little nectar of the gods. All right. Let me do this. Bring it up on live here. All right. We don't need to share this anymore. All right. Let's get rock and rolling. It's on time. People have had plenty of opportunity to join us here. If they join us, great. All right. So let's dive into this. So basically, it is obviously it's first liens, anywhere from newly originated in the last year, and they're already non-performing, all the way back to 2001 originations. Okay. There is most of these, and the seller did not give me current market values. It just gave me the current balance of what's owed, how far behind they are, number of months, and then also what their, you know, original loan balance was. So there is equity between what they are currently at and what their old loan balance is. Now, depending on when these originated, there may be a ton of equity. Like Brian and I were looking at an asset there, not too far from where he's at there in Dallas, and he's like, I don't think it's the right one. I said, well, this balance is from a few years back. So the property's appreciated quite a bit. It's not worth 120, it's worth 250 based on the appreciation. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind. They did give us their P&I payments, and that's just we can kind of figure that out going forward. The play on these. What is the play? Well, first of all, you're going to need a servicing company that's going to service FHA and VA loans, because these are FHA and VA loans. They're owner occupied. Might cost you a little bit more per month, but still easy to find that. And you're going to have to go through the procedure of going through the foreclosure process if you do that. And that's some of these are already in the foreclosure process. Some of these have already requested like loan modifications. And of course, if your bid is accepted and you see the loan modification isn't up to your standard or what you want, that's your get out of jail card. You don't need to close on these, right? And like I said, you can purchase a minimum of one or all the way up to a huge chunk of these. It all depends on what you're going on. Um, and as I said before, they're all over the country. If you saw the email that we sent out yesterday with the three maps, those are three individual mappings, one of the 90 to 120 days behind, four, anywhere from 4 months then to a year, and then beyond a year in default. So it gives us a lot of opportunities. So let's pull up the spreadsheet. Let's do a quicker dive there. Like I said, we'll be done here by noon my time here, if not sooner. We've got some college football to watch, obviously, today before we head out of town. But anyway, let me pull up the spreadsheet so we can kind of walk you through this here, and we'll go from there. And I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. If you're on your phone trying to watch, I'm sorry, it's going to be hard for you on a small screen. I highly encourage you to jump over on the Zoom link that was sent out to everybody so that you can start watching that and asking questions. So what I have done is I have alphabetized. Let's go back here because I think I just have it by state. Let me custom sort it. And we're going to do by state and then add a little by city. Oh, it's by loan number now. That's okay. All right, so there we go. Let me go ahead and blow these up so you have a bit of an idea. You got a few in Alabama in there, a couple in Arkansas, some in Arizona, a chunk in California, all over kind of California there. LA, Northern County, Northern Colorado, Connecticut. There's Newcastle, not New Haven, but therefore a couple in Delaware, quite a few in Florida. Let's see here. Jacksonville, Kissimmee, Largo, Margate, Naples, Orlando. I mean, some of those I definitely like. Panama, Port St. Lucie, Tamarack, Tampa. You got some in Georgia there, Augusta. Actually, several in Augusta, Georgia. Columbus, Conyers. Nothing in Atlanta. You have Albany. Oh, actually, there is one in Atlanta. Sorry. Let's see here. So a chunk there in Georgia, obviously. Iowa, Illinois. Indiana, a chunk in Indiana for sure. You know, 5 or 6 there, or 6 or 7 in Indianapolis. Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Massachusetts, got a few. Got some in Maryland. A couple up in Maine. A chunk in Michigan here. Minnesota, Duluth, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Missouri. A couple in Kansas City, Missouri there. St. Louis has got a few. You go down south to the Mississippi, Gulfport, Pearl. One in Montana and Helena. You don't see stuff up in Montana very often, but there you go. We get into North Carolina and Charlotte and Durham. One in West Fargo, North Dakota, a couple in Nebraska, one in New Hampshire. You got a couple in New Jersey, couple in New Mexico, one in Las Vegas, Nevada, couple obviously in New York State, Ohio, Oklahoma, couple up in Oregon, two in Oregon, Aurora and Baker City, Pennsylvania, get a chunk up in there, and Philadelphia for sure. Wow, that's quite a few. A couple in Pittsburgh, South Carolina and Columbia, Rock Hill, Spartanburg, couple in Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville. Of course, here in Texas, we got a few here. Alice is down in the Valley, Arlington, Austin here. I'll actually drive by that one later today. Cedar Hill, which is Dallas, Cleveland, Corpus Christi, where I grew up. Crosby, Dallas, Fort Worth, Grand Prairie, Harlingen down in the Valley, couple in Houston. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 there in Houston, Humble, Katie's kind of like neck of the woods, Kingwood, Kyle, Texas, which is just south of Austin, Lancaster, League City, Longview, Lubbock, Mesquite, Mission, Missouri City. It's Houston, Palestine. Pflugerville's not too far from here. Actually, we've rehabbed the property actually about a block away from this address in Pflugerville. San Angelo's got one. San Antonio's got a chunk there. Sugarland, Texas City, uh, Victoria, Waco, Utah, Ogden, Utah. That's Salt Lake City area. Got some stuff in Virginia, Richmond, Washington State, Spokane, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got a couple in West Virginia, one, and then two to wrap it up in Wyoming. One in Gillette, Wyoming, and one in Raleigh. So you got it. It's a very diverse tape all across the country, right, everybody? In some very desirable spots. When I look at these, what do I get excited about? Well, there's a chunk in Texas, obviously, because Texas is a fast foreclosure state. I like Indiana, Hoosier State, chunk in Indianapolis, obviously. I also, God's waiting room, Florida. God love Florida, even with all its issues. The thing to keep in mind about this is, let's look at a couple things over here so you have a bit of an idea. All right, so most of these are fixed. There are a few adjustable rate mortgages in here, but they're all firsts. If the remaining term is anywhere from, they're 5 months old all the way down to 295 months. You got at least 5 years on all of these. Okay. The interest rates on these, current rates on these, vary from as low as 2.75 all the way up to, I think it was 9%, 8% actually. All right. P&I payments, anyone from $41 a month all the way upwards to $4,200 per month. Okay. We go over here. They've got their current FICO scores, which I don't trust. Original LTV. You'll see most of these people put very little down, less than 3%. Current LTV. Now, the LTV on these is based off what the value was when it was purchased. So it's not accurate LTVs. All right, just keep that in mind. You can see their single family, manufactured home, townhomes. Most of these were no cash out refis. Some of them were purchases, stuff like that. The appraisal BPO, AVM, when they were pulled originally, you can see the sales price. They're all pretty close to where it was. Origination dates, like I said before, go back anywhere from 2001 to now. And the big thing, like I said, next pay dates are anywhere from as 90 days out, so June of this year, all the way back to, if you look at 2022. So anywhere from 90 days to basically about 3 years old. Okay. Maturity dates that go on. A couple arms are in there. Loan status, it gives us delinquent, loan mod, foreclosure. That's what kind of the three basic loan statuses are. Foreclosure, bankruptcy, loan mod. There's some BKs in here as well too for you. And foreclosure status, when it says this active or referred, is what ARS. I'm not sure what that stands for. I don't think it's sold. And then let's see here. What else do we have? We have the escrow balance. Anything that's been advanced as far as interest advances or escrow advances for insurance. And you can see this tape was pulled September 29th. So it is literally just basically 5-6 days old. Okay, because it was pulled on 29th, 30th. Today's the 4th, so it's 6 days old as of we sit here. Bids are due on Monday, Tuesday. Okay. All right. So now, there's a couple things that you can look at this too as alternatives to buying the debt. Because yeah, Scott, you tell me all the time about 90 days, you can't really make any money in 90 days. Yeah, you're not going to be probably on the chunk of these that are literally just a few months old. It's not going to make sense to buy those that are under really 6 months old. On these, since there are such lower interest rates, and you'll see this as we run some numbers on this stuff, it's probably not going to make sense to work to reinstate some of these borrowers. It's not going to make any money for you based on what you've got to probably pay for these. When there's equity and stuff like these, you probably need to be at somewhere around 80% or mid 80s of the current balance. And when you look at, okay, if they reinstate, we get them to pay their 15, a year of payments plus the 3 or 4 months behind, it's probably going to be a single digit yield. So it doesn't make a lot of sense for that. The play on this is the longer ones that are beyond, I'd say 6 months and beyond. Those are going to be more likely the ones you foreclose that you maybe approach with cash for keys, deed and lose, take the property back, and you get that chunk of equity or that chunk of that property above what's owed. They're not going to be able to go out and sell it for the most part. And of course, you're going to need to pull your own values on this stuff. Tentatively, guys, just look at Zillow values. You're going to have time for due diligence to evaluate these and go from later on. Okay. All right. So don't get I got to do all this work. You need to check taxes owed. That's one of the things you can check on pretty easy by going to Netra Online and going to the county records. But the big thing about this is let's start running some numbers on it so you can start seeing. The ones that have been around longer, obviously the values are going to be a lot higher than they were, say, 4 years ago, right? If it's something that's been originated in the last year, okay, those values are probably pretty close and pretty correct. All right. I've got an insight on a tool that will allow you to upload a spreadsheet with addresses, and it'll work to pull values for you all relatively quickly. And so we'll be sharing that later on. I don't have it; it's not working today. It's malfunctioning at one asset at a time. All right. So my goal would be to go through this like I'm breaking down a regular spreadsheet of non-performers, like we are, and then go through some of the values, some of the ROIs, estimate stuff to go from there. Okay, everybody? All right. So now that we have, these are all alphabetized by state and city, we've got to change this up to help us find the duds and get rid of the duds and keep the deals, right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen? So besides, I just meant to say, those that have religiously low rates, okay, let's say, because mortgage rates are about 6.5, 6.3, somewhere in that point right now, okay? So if we go over here to the interest rate side of the business, so current rates, okay? Anything really below a 4% right now is good. 5% is not bad, right? But you're not going to be able to make any money really on a 5%, a sub 5% interest rate, because at 80%, if they just start paying on time, that's only like a 7-8% yield. That's not very good if you got to raise capital, right? So the ones that are below 5%, okay, and there's a chunk of them here. So if we look at, I just went through and just filtered it by looking at anything at 5% or less. That takes us down to, let's see how many assets. That's a total of a lot. So over half this tape, 342 of these assets have a sub 5% interest rate. Okay. So let's narrow it down even further. Let's get rid of anything over 4% or less. Let's look at that. So I'm just going through and clicking. So any below 4% now, that drops it down to 148 assets. Okay. Now, if we look at those 148 assets, those may not be better. And if we actually, let me go over here and look at their last paid date. Okay. So based on these, when we just the 148 that have the lowest interest rates, their next pay date on these, let's just look and see what it says here. Yeah, there's some all over the board. So you have June, February. I'm just going back further. 1 of 2022, August of 2022, 2023. So let's do this. Let's look at, let's get rid of, and just look at. All right. So if I take off the two oldest ones, the 2022 and 2023, that leaves us here with low interest rates that have a 24 or 25. Basically, they're about a year or less. That drops it down to 83. Well, those would be desirable deals for potential subject to deals. And what would you be doing for that? You're not going to be making offers on those assets. You would be basically mailing letters to the homeowners, trying to get them to deed the property over to you, to have you take over payments to avoid them seeing a foreclosure. Okay. And there's some of these that would really fall right in line with it based on that they're already facing foreclosure, delinquent foreclosure, loan modification, or loss mitigation, delinquent. So that could be a possibility, doing a drip marketing campaign to that. Now, if we just look at that as potential subject to deals, you've got a couple in Alabama, a couple in Arizona, Bakersfield, California, a couple in Florida there potentially think for it. Now, I don't teach subject to investing. All right, you would want to learn from something like my buddy Chris Prefontaine does a really great job with that, as potential ways for you to take over assets. Because when these things are originating, if you look at these, they're all, let's see when the origination dates on these are. Origination dates like a 2009, 2002. They're all going to have a site 2008, 2009. They're all going to have a sizable amount of equity. All right. These are origination dates on these. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So at least 3 years, if not more, on these with the low interest rates, because interest rates have gone up the last 2 years. So they're going to have this chunk of equity. Borrowers could try to sell it, but may not be able to sell it in today's market. So maybe you give cash for keys. You take over that low interest rate. Let me give you an example here. Let's look at this one. Let's just do the first one here. This one in Alabama, McCalla, 212 Crescent Drive, McCalla, Alabama. Okay, the balance right now is 60,000. Okay. And if we go to Zillow, we're just going to go to Google. Not good pods. And we're just going to drop this one here. This is all right. So this one in McCalla, Alabama, if we just click on Redfin here. So it's valued at 145. It's off the market. They only owe about 60. So there's a chunk of equity there, right? Let's go to Retometer. Calla, Alabama. Oh, is it? That's weird. Where is that? There we go, McCalla, Alabama. So run rates on this is somewhere around, okay. Oh, a thousands median, some are low, some are high. It's a little rural, so it could be 60, it could be 1,000 to it's over $1,000. My average is $1,400. Okay. So if you go back to this, if you're going to get $1,400 in rent, and you got to see what their P&I TI is, but their PI payment on this is $570 a month. So I guarantee taxes and insurance aren't going to be more than $500 a month, but that's a 3.75% interest rate. You could definitely get some money, get somebody in to owner finance it wrap if you got the borrower out of it, took over payments, give them maybe some cash for keys, a little money, get out of it, and go from there. So that's a possibility for a chunk of these, is doing the, hey, I'm not going to target the note space. I'm going to target trying to take over the payments with a direct mail campaign, subject to deals. You're dealing with motivated sellers, right? They're motivated because they already are behind more than 90 days. They're in that distress space where they're defaulted and they're starting to get notices about the lender starting to foreclose. Does that make sense, everybody, on that aspect of things? All right, so let's go back up here. Let's start just throwing some numbers in here so we can start figuring stuff out. Okay, so what I like to usually do is, for the most part, I'm going to slice and dice, get rid of states I don't want to invest in. I might wait a little bit to do that here in just a second because I know we got folks from all over watching this. But I'm going to stick to primarily the most desirable states that I like for the most part. But I'm going to run some numbers on here first to find deals, because technically if they're less than a year old, ladies and gentlemen, you get the bar back on track making payments, it might be a good deal, it might not be a good deal. So let's do this. So we don't know PITIs in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to insert a couple columns. Escape. Insert a column. And we're going to say 12 months. All right. Of P and I. Now, what we're also going to do, we're going to add another column in here. Court says, sure does a different approach. Yeah, okay, so a little different approach going after the, we can look at Jackson, Wyoming later on for you, Court. All right, we're going to say 16 months P&I. Because by the time we get around to this, they're going to be, even the ones that are 90 days, are going to be 16 months. So what I'm going to figure is if you can reinstate these and get this. So this is if they just start paying on time again, 698 times 12. And this, if they're coming to the table, times and paying a year plus the 4 months. Okay. Question here. Oh, yeah. Okay. For Jackson Wyoming. Yes, I did want to know that, Cord. You're on a satellite delay a little bit there. I must not have seen it. That's okay. All right. So let's just go ahead and copy this all the way down. Control C. We're going to copy these formulas. And we're going to run it all the way down for all 636. I know probably don't need to, especially the ones beyond a year. But we're just going to do it anyway because I'm not sure. I think I have it filtered for that. Okay, 636. All right, Control D. All right. Now, the fact that they have equity, we're going to also go over here to take their current balance number, and we're just going to multiply it times 80 cents of the dollar. Most of them are going to have equity. Some may be a little upside down. We got a few in here that show over 100%, but we're just going to say 80%. All right? Because most of these have equity, and that's what we're going to do. We can adjust that number as we get into looking at more of the individual assets class, but we're just going to go ahead and start to make this simple. In a lot of cases, we can get them to start to reinstate, so you can see, does this make sense to get them back on track, or does it not make sense? Okay, so we're just going to take 80%. So we're going to go hit equals the current balance times 0.8. It's roughly what our offer would probably need to be, somewhere around there. Okay, so 67 for that one. We're going to copy that formula. And once again, we're going to run this all the way down, all 636. Now, when you're breaking down a spreadsheet, if it's easier for you to get rid of everything you don't want to look at first, the states you hate, you dislike, you don't want to buy it, go ahead and do that. And then still run the formulas. If you watch enough of these, sometimes we'll do it on the front end side or we'll do it on the back end side. Usually we end up getting rid of like New York and Jersey right off the bat, and Chicago and others. But we're going to leave that in there for the time being. Okay. So good morning, everybody. You join us late. All right, so now that we have we're going to highlight this column in green. Why do I highlight it in green? I highlight in green because these are probably roughly about where our offers need to be. So anything I'm going to kind of throw in here that I did myself, I'm going to highlight in green so I know, okay, that was like the current LTV. That I put that in there too. That was a simple calculation of what they currently owe, the current balance of what they financed. Okay. And let's go over to the 12 months P&I. So I know that I put those in there. Okay. Now, let's do this. Let's insert 2 columns in here. We're going to say 12-month ROI. So taking that 12 months of payments divided by the 80% number to figure out what rough reinstatement is. And let's add another one here for the 16-month. All right, so now we're going to do this very simple. So we'll take equal to the 12 months of cash flow, divide that by the 80% number we just calculated. And then we're going to go over here and do the 16-month. Divided by the same thing. All right, and now we're going to change these. We're going to copy these all the way down as well. And we're just copying it down, copy down. It may have been easier to go and slice and dice and get rid of some states, but not everybody is going to buy exactly where I'm buying. So, all right. So now, okay, great. Now it gives us some rough ROIs. Now we're going to change these to percentages. All right. So now on some of these, if we do pay 80 cents, our yield's going to be anywhere from a 7% yield up to a 19% yield in some of these. Ooh, even some of these probably have lower balances. Yeah, that's probably what those are, all skewed. But it could potentially give us some stuff to look at. The 16 months, same thing, you're gonna have some stuff that's skewed on there. So let's go in here now and let's get rid of some of the stuff that we don't want to waste our time with, just because it's not going to be worth our time for a $40 a month payment. It's not going to be worth our time for New York, New Jersey assets for the most part. You get what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and slice and dice up this a little bit before we get all excited about a 80% ROI. Okay. So let's get rid of the ones in the states we don't want to buy in first and foremost, and that'll make us happier. Okay. So let's get rid of the states we don't want to buy in. All right. So let's get rid of, we're going to select the ones we want to get rid of. I'm not going to buy in California. I'm not going to waste my time there. I'm going to get rid of the ones in Illinois just because most of this is around Chicago is difficult. Louisiana, too long to foreclose. Kentucky, I'm not liking. Let's go through here. Minnesota has a 1-year redemption period, so I'm not really going to buy these there. Let's keep going through. New Jersey, I don't want. New York, I do not want. I'm going to get rid of Oregon State. I'm going to get rid of Washington State. Takes forever to foreclose there. They're not friendly. Wisconsin, I'll leave in there because it could potentially be. West Virginia is a little too rural. You get a 1 in Wyoming. We'll leave that there just for the heck of it. All right. So we're going to hit OK to those. Now that gives us, that's filtered it so that we have the states showing that we don't want. Okay. Now, if you like those states, by all means, dive into it. Go for it. By all means, go right ahead. For me, for what we're doing right here, we want to find stuff that if we have to foreclose, we want to make sure we can take it back. Oh, I probably should have got rid of Alabama as well, too, because it has, since these are true 30-year mortgages, Alabama has a 1-year redemption period. It makes it difficult to foreclose there. So we're going to add Alabama to that mix. Okay. Yep. Sorry, Alabama. Roll Tide. All right. So now this is going to allow us to get rid of a huge chunk of these things right off the bat. All right. So 636, we deleted those rows. Boom. That just put us now down to basically most of the states that we'll look at. They're friendly, usually friendly. And some, I mean, there's going to be some that are going to, might be a little difficult. And hit, okay. So now we're looking at 515. So we just got rid of 121 of those things. All right. So now let's go get rid of low balances, low P&I payments. Let's go over to low P&I. Let's go to the P&I payment first. All right. Let's get rid of really you want to get rid of anything under $250 a month. Because when you start looking at non-performing, it's going to cost you $90+ a month for servicing costs, and it's going to eat up a huge chunk of your profits. All right, so we're going to get rid of anything just under $250 a month. All right, so now let's see where those are located. Now, if you want to buy these for your own portfolio, use your own IRA, you don't mind $150 a month cash flow coming in, by all means, go ahead. So there's one in Mission, Texas, down in the valley. you know, Viter, not really worried about that. Let's see here. A couple in Pennsylvania, St. Louis, Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Yeah, not too many have that low. Most of them have a higher than $250 a month payment. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of these then. Just go ahead, go down here. Now, if I was going to be targeting these for subject twos, obviously my monthly rental payment, or if I even wrapped around and finance these at a subject to with a wraparound to an end buyer, that, yeah, I'd be glad for a $50 a month P&I payment, right? But since we're now talking about buying the notes aspect of things for my own cash flow basis, I don't want that being what comes in. Now, obviously, could I foreclose? Yes, but most of those with a low P&I payment, we're going to have a ton of equity on those for the most part. Okay, question here. All right, let's get rid of these. With those. Okay, so now we've got rid of those with low payments. All right. Now we've narrowed it down to 498 assets. We're slowly getting it chunked down. Okay, so now let's go back over here to low balances. Low balances means there's probably going to be a ton of equity. They're probably not going to play ball with you on that aspect of things. And so going from there. All right, so the current balances, let's look at the current balances. Let's get rid of anything really under 50 grand for the most part, the way I look at it. Okay, so 2,900, yeah, there's a lots of low balances on these. Now, those could be good deals for you to buy, and if you get cheap enough and put it in your IRA, if the yield's going to be good. But for what we're doing here, since we've got so many to look at, we're just going to get rid of really anything under 50. Okay. In balance. A lot of 46,000s, 45,000s I'm looking at here. Okay. All right. So that brings us to, okay, couple in Arkansas, Maricopa, Arizona, Pueblo, Colorado, Connecticut, a couple in Florida, Largo, Orlando. I would maybe, see, they only got a balance of 27,000 on that one in Orlando. Yeah. Augusta, a couple in North Carolina, Ohio, a couple in Corpus Christi. I would probably, a couple in Houston there. I would probably go back and look at those. Well, let's see, 5,000 League City, 34, 14. I might make an offer. I know John probably made some offers. Some of those. I haven't had a chance to look at Abilene, Texas. Okay, I might go back and change some of those up. But for what we're doing now, we're just going to slice and dice and get rid of a lot. Okay, we want to try to get down to where we're the ones that are going to have the most meat on the bones. All right. There's a place called Romance, Arkansas. I did not know that. I don't know how big a city it is, but anyway. All right, so we got ones with the low balances. Now we have everything that's at least 50K or more on that stuff. All right. So now, if you look at what we've done, getting rid of a low P&I payments and low balances, we're probably in those that make the most amount of sense to pursue either A, potentially as reinstatements, or performing notes, or B, the foreclosure side. We know we're just going to foreclose on these because they're beyond 60 months in default. Okay, and that's probably the play I'd probably go on. So let's go back over here, and now we're going to look at how far behind they are so that we know, okay, these are more going to be the foreclosure side of things. Okay, so we're going to go over to next due. All right. So the next day payments on here. So we have 25, 24, 23, 20. Oh, damn, did I just, damn it all. I didn't have everything selected. All right, I got to go back here and look at the P&I payments. I did not copy those all the way down. Okay, so I got to copy some formulas here. Hang on a second, everybody. I forgot to unfilter things. So I got to go back in and fill everything in here. Not hard to do. Every once in a while, you'll make a mistake. That's why you always want to make sure that all your filters are selected. Okay, so now, all right, that's done. Let's go over to the P&I and everything. All right, let's go all the way up to the top. We can copy these formulas all at once, all the way across, which is good. So I'm just copying on the 12 months, the 16 months, the 12-month ROI, and the 16-month ROI. Now, while you guys are sitting there, what kind of yield are you looking for if you're using your own money? You can type that in the chat roll. What kind of yield are you looking for if you've got your own money? Because that'll help you determine, hey, what do I go after, right? Now, okay, so now we have all these in there. Let's go back in here and go back to the payments and get rid of anything below $250 a month. Yeah, so, all right, so good thing there's not that many. Okay, we just got a few we gotta get rid of. Okay. These that are under 250 a month: Chicago, Niagara Falls, East Cleveland, Dunbar, and Newcastle, PA. Okay. So we only got a few. I have low P&I payments, delete rows. All right. Now, select all. Yeah. Ah. And now let's go back to our current balances and see if there's anything below. Yeah, there's a couple. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we missed. Okay. And these are Pine Bluff, Van Horn, Palestine, San Antonio, low balances. Okay. Right. So now we have everything, I think, clean. Balances of 50K or greater. P&I payments of 250 or greater per month. And we've gotten rid of probably most of the states we don't. There's a few in Alabama here. So let's go back here. Once we don't, Alabama, California, Illinois, Louisiana, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York, nothing Oregon, nothing Washington State. We'll just get rid of West Virginia. It's kind of too rural. No offense on being West Virginia. All right. So yeah. Okay. So now let's just get rid of those. All right. So we're just getting rid of stuff that probably stuff we don't want to spend time on. Okay. So now we have let's see. Now if we've cleaned it up some, that's gotten us down to from 636 down to 412. So technically we got rid of a third, just over a third of the tape. Okay. We'll get rid of more here because when you look at stuff relatively soon. So now the next thing to do is let's go back, resort this by the next due. Okay. All right. So next due date. Let's go here and come to custom sort it. Next pay date. There we go. It's already in there for me. That's good. All right. So now we get into, all right. So these are at least, so the soonest ones, these are at least 16 months right here because they're basically due for June of this year. So that's 4 months they're behind for this year. And the 16 month, okay, if you bought this note and they start paying their 12-month on it, plus they make up the 4 months of payment, that means they pay 1 1/3 payment every month. By the end of 12 months, they'll pay 16 months and they're good and rock and roll. That makes sense? So let's just go down to see where these guys are at. These are the ones. So, all right, so 6 months. All right. So this takes us down to June and then May. All right. So 100, if you wanted to buy performing notes, I'm going to highlight these kind of in yellow. These are the ones that you would want to target for performance because they're the least far behind, right? They're 4 months behind. And now we can go in here and take a look at these that are yellow and see what kind of yield they're at. Okay. So now, like I asked you guys, what kind of money, what kind of return would you want on your money in the first year of a performance? Because that's the thing. The yield on these, if they're making 4 months of on-time payments, I mean, sorry, 12 months of on-time payments plus an additional 4 in the first year, this 16-month column is going to be your yield for the first year. And then after year 1, it's going to revert back to just 12 months because they're no longer behind. Okay. So we want these to probably be, if you look at these, a filter like this one, some of these are at 13%, right? 13% yield is not bad for you using your own money. And it's a 17% yield the first year. Okay. That's pretty good. The ones that are getting down here, 17%. Yeah, 13 and 17. Those would be the ones that are probably the most desired. Oh, 24%. Let's look at this one here. 24%. They're 3.375. They got just under, so we got about 6 years. Richmond, Virginia. They probably have a higher interest rate than this one, if I'm correct. No, actually have a low interest rate, 3.37. What's their term? Oh, original or mainland term. Oh, this is a 68 plus 180. So this is a 15-year loan. That's that's why the yield's so high. And that's okay. That's pretty good. Hold it for a year or two, get rid of it. Okay. They owe 44. They originally financed. Oh, they owe 55. They originally financed 124. So you got to just make sure. Yeah, at 80 cents a dollar, 44. That's a pretty good invest. That's not a bad purchase price on that at 80 cents a dollar. That could be a desirable performing note for a few years, right? You get back your principal back paid back pretty faster than that one. Let's go down here. Now the rest of these beyond these in green are ones that are probably going to go more the route. Some could potentially reinstate. All right. We look at those because those start getting to where they're beyond now 5 months past due. Okay. 5 months down to May, April. These are you don't knows. They could rebound. They may not rebound. Okay. I would be willing to bet if you looked at most of these that aren't in yellow, look at our yields on these things. They're going to be probably mostly, you got 11 and a 14, 9%, 9%, 10%, 9%. Most of these would probably make more sense as we get the further down the rabbit hole, the more we're likely to foreclose. So let's look at these that are beyond a year. Okay. Next due date. So if we're talking, yeah, see, we're still in March of 20. Yeah. October 2024. So that's a year they're behind. They're probably more of a foreclosure at that point. All right, so here we go. October 1st. Okay. These are more going to be so. Let's highlight these. Go the rest of the way down. These are going to be more so the ones you end up foreclosing on. So let's put those in orange. Okay. And actually, we're gonna highlight. Let's just make all of our let's make all of our numbers and everything black. They'll stand out better. They're all red, so we all know they're non-performing. I just want to be able to see easier for you guys. There we go. That stands out better immediately like that. Okay. All right. So these ones in orange are probably going to be more so because they're a year further behind. They haven't made a payment since October of last year. The rest of them are under a year. It could still potentially, if they start making double payments and stuff like that, great, but they may not. Okay. And that'll all vary too on where they are equity wise. That's where you have to go back and look at a chunk of these equity wise. Now, an easy way to figure, okay, what would you make as a foreclosure is just taking what the current balance is, divide and subtracting that from what their existing balance. So it's about 20, it's literally, since you're paying 80 cents of the current balance, it's about a 20% difference in what you're paying versus what's owed is what you could collect at a foreclosure auction. Now, cash for keys, deed loans, that's a different story, different amount. But if you had to foreclose, you'd want to make sure, okay, when I'm buying the note at, I want to make sure that I make some money if I have to foreclose in the next year. That makes it worth my while. Would it be, it, we don't have a crystal ball to knowing if an asset is going to sell at a foreclosure auction or it's not going to sell at a foreclosure auction. So you have to assume that you're going to get outbid at the auction just for the heck of it, especially in some of these where they're older dates where there's a lot more equity. You're going to get outbid at the auction. Some of them where not, that are like in the last year or 2 years of origination, you may not get outbid at the auction, but there's not as much equity too. So that's the thing you have to look at, the difference between, okay, what am I paying versus value, but also look at the unpaid legal balance. We don't know what the legal balance. Actually, we could run an estimated legal balance on this thing. We could actually do that. It would just take a little bit of time doing that. So let's see. Do we have a number of months? I think they might have put in here how many months are behind on this thing. Let me see here. I may have missed it. Let me get rid of some of the stuff that we don't really need. Yeah. We're just going to get rid of a lot of these empty columns. Make it easier for us instead of having to go back and forth. Okay. Just going to hide them. We don't need lien positions. We know they're all firsts. We don't have PITIs and original FICO scores. They say current FICO, which we don't have a date for that. I'm not really worried about dates on the FICO scores because it doesn't really matter for us in the first lien position. Now, okay, so they did have some stuff. Current LTV, 70%, original LTV. Maybe they did pull some numbers on it. Yeah, so they did have some LTVs. So their values on these things. Oh, no, that's still based off of the value of old. So they've paid it down. Can't take that. All right, refi purpose, QM flag. Let's get rid of some of these here. We don't have number of units. I just want to make it simple for you guys. Front end debt to income, back end, don't need to know that right now. Okay, don't have appraisal dates on this thing. I'll leave the current property value so you guys can figure that in there if you wanted to. Originate first paid date, pay through date. Okay. Next date due. All right, perfect. Our delinquent rates aren't in there, so we're going to get rid of those columns to make it simple. That property type. Delete that. All right, that's a much cleaner spreadsheet with a lot less going back and forth. Okay. So going back down to what we said, let's run a number, go back here to our big current balance, let's say here. Let's insert this in here. All right. So this would technically be, I'm going to, what's the best way to say this? Uh, Note equity. I'm gonna put that in there. That's technically what you're buying the note at versus the current balance, not the legal balance. Legal balance can be more depending on how far behind they are. Um, let's try this. Let's do that. Actually, let's go back and figure number of months behind that these people are. Insert. All right, so let's do that. Let's just figure number of months. Okay, so number of months behind. That's pretty easy to do. All right, so everything's June, so they're 4 months. We'll just say four and run a number down there. Nope, not a date. Format cells, just a number. We're going to copy that down until we get to May. We'll change that to 5 months. So we hit April. Well, there's a lot that are 5 months behind. 6 months. I'm sure there's an even easier formula to figure out the date, but we'll just go ahead and keep it simple for everybody. Eight months. Nine months. 10. It's going to be more as we get down because there's less and less of these. Control C. But we're getting not all right. So 10, 11. 12 months here. Well, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back now to figure legal balance. I'm going to take the 12 number of months behind times the P&I payment and then add that to the balance to figure what our legal balance is. Okay. $13. I think we're getting close here. 14, 15, 16, 17, 21 months. 22. 3 months behind. 24 months. 25 months behind. Sorry, guys, if you're listening to this, you're probably like, what the heck is he doing? I probably should have done this beforehand, but if I show you how to do it, it makes more sense so you know how to do it for yourself when you get a tape in. Yeah, see these that get more delinquent down here. much more of a likelihood to foreclose on these things. Almost done. Okay. Two months behind. Almost done, everybody. 33 months behind. 34 months behind. Oh, 5. And 36. Oh, that's actually 37, sorry. 38. And 30. All right. So now we have the total months behind. Okay. All right. Oh, we missed one there. Like I said. All right. So now what we can do is we can go, okay, what's the estimated legal balance they're behind on? All right. So months behind, let's do this. Go over here to their P&I payment. And what we're doing is we're just going to insert a column in here. Legal and that's going to equal to their P&I times how many months behind they are. And now we can copy that. Nope, it's a dollar sign. We can just copy that all the way down now for these. What do we have? 300. Okay, so now we can go over and do the legal balance side here. And then legal balance is going to be their UPB. Sorry, the current balance plus their late payments. All right, now that's better. Okay. Now I'll just run it all the way down. Now, a lot of times they'll give you a legal balance. So they may come back and say, well, why don't you make your bid off the legal balance? Okay, well, you didn't give me the legal balance. You just gave me what I made an offer on. You gave me what you gave me, right? All right. So now that we have the legal balance, now we can see exactly what our difference is. Okay, if we paid 80% of the UPB, that gives us our bid, and then our ability to foreclose is just not on the UPB, it's the legal balance, right? So that's why we're going to say note equity if we're buying this and stuff. So then what we're just going to divide, not divide, we're going to take the 80%, or actually we're going to take the legal balance and minus the 80%. Equal to legal balance minus 80%. Okay, there we go. That's right. 68. Okay, so now you'll know, okay, if you do end up foreclosing, here's roughly what your profit would be minus any foreclosure costs or money costs. All right, so now you have profit. Okay, so there we go. Now we see that, okay, if I pay for this and I pay for that. All right. Now, like I said, some of these up here in the very top side are going to be more straight up reinstate. Okay. They're literally only a few there. If we go over here, They're just a few months behind, 4 months or more. 5 months possibility there, get back on track. 6 months, you give them a little bit of headache. Your yield might be a little bit higher. So you get that 1 year though, that's probably, like I said, where it's going to make more sense for you to foreclose on these. Yeah, see, note equity. This is what we're looking for. This is technically our foreclosure. You could also say this we could say this would be our foreclosure profit. Make it easier. Now, what kind of yield are you guys looking for? I asked you this question earlier. What kind of yield are you looking for your own portfolio? I'm not, yeah, I know the answer as much as I can, right? But for something that's going to be using your own money, it comes in, is 12% going to be something comfortable for you guys? 10% or more? I mean, what's your money been making? If you've got money sitting in an IRA and it's made zero the last year, saying I want 15% and you're not going to go do it, you're probably going to be happy with 8%, right? Because if it's sitting there not making anything, it's losing money. So can we agree on some numbers, 8% or higher, or are you thinking, what are your investors looking for, 12%? Because I'm going to run some numbers on here to help you identify, okay, what's the better route for some of the stuff. Now, on some of this reinstatement stuff here, honestly, less than a year or less than 6 months, it's probably going to be better if you're going to buy this up for your own portfolio. By all means, buy it for your own portfolio. It's going to be hard, especially if you have money less than 12% for you to make any money on this stuff, right? See 13%, 10%, 9%. It's just not going to make any money if your money costs you more than what you got coming in. Capiche? Okay. So let's look down here and run some numbers. Okay, let's just say, all right, let's go over here. What's it going to cost us for our money for a year? Let's just say 10%. Okay, so we're going to enter some comps. Foreclosure profits, we'll put that in green. That's without the foreclosure. That's without your money costs, straight up foreclosure costs. Okay. All right, so let's do this. Let's insert some numbers. So you're borrowing money at 10%. So you're going to borrow 10% on your 80%. And let's just figure, let's do that. Yeah, so that plus let's just say $5,000 to foreclose, give or take a little. Sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it'll be less. Okay, so we're going to go over here. So we're going to take our 80% plus 5K. And multiply that number times 0.1. That's what your money cost would be to borrow 10%. You're borrowing 58. Okay. So we're going to run that formula all the way down. That's your cost. So let's say net. So if it's going to cost you that for money to borrow 80% plus 5K, that's what your money costs are going to be. Okay. So then what you're going to do is take your foreclosure profits minus your money costs. That's it. That's exactly right. So if we foreclose straight away, we'd get 14. We got to take our money costs out of that. So minus that, it's going to be your net foreclosure profits. There we go. Now, this is not considering any type of rehab. We're just going to assume that the rehab, if you do end up, I mean, this is just straight up a foreclosure at the foreclosure auction. If you rehab it, most of these are going to have equity way above what you're paying for it. So if it doesn't sell at the auction, you can go back to your investors and borrow the money to rehab the property. It should be equal. You should be falling into equity, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So now you have a better handle on these now, knowing which ones make more sense to pursue. Okay. Because these that are up here that are in the yellow, you're probably not going to foreclose. That's going to be more of a loan mod, right? Yeah, a reinstatement. So we can get rid of stuff that doesn't make sense because we're probably not going to foreclose on these. It's going to drag out these people, these in the yellow, you give an opportunity to get back on track. So there is 102 borrowers are likely to get back on track that are just a few months behind. Okay. So if you want performing, you wouldn't worry about these. Okay. On the performing side, it's going to come down to this stuff right here, 12 months P&I. Okay. So like I would target, let's go here. Which ones do I want to target? Really, where the columns are to, it's like 12%, 17%. That's probably one I would target. If I'm using my own money. Now, if I'm using somebody else's money, I need to have that money be probably at 6% or 8%, so I'm still making something, right, everybody? But most of these, you see, they're like 10%, 9%, 9, 11, 13. Most of these just aren't going to make sense for you based on the low interest rate. 12 and 14, maybe. 12 and 16, I'm sorry. Some of these here, they're beyond. What months were these again? 4 months. These are starting to be on into 5 months. This is middle ground, and it could be, could not be. Now, the thing we can look back on these is some of these that are already in foreclosure. Where is it here? Loan mod. See, delinquent. They're not quite the foreclosure loan mod. Delinquent. So I'm going to start in the foreclosure aspect of it. Okay. So that's the route. If you're going to look to foreclose on some of these, which would make sense for probably most of them. So let's just look at the foreclosure side of these. Let's get rid of, yeah, let's look at foreclosure, bankruptcy. And look at these. All right. See, the one up here is yellow. It's a foreclosure. So you know they're kind of presenting the right to go. Okay. So when you have that where it's foreclosure, they're probably not responding. Now that gives you an idea of which ones to target that are going to be the better one. Now, this foreclosure BK, you got to look at see where they're at in the BK aspect of things, payment wise. But most of these yellow here, now that we've narrowed it down, we know which way that the existing lenders already kind of go on that route. Now we just got to go back and say, okay, what's the best yield for us? What's the best bang for a buck on these stuff? Okay. All right. Now you go back here and say, okay, what's going to make sense here? Look at this column. If I borrow money at 10%, what can I get the most out of this? And that's where we'll do this. So let's resort this. I think we've got these here. Yeah, especially these get down here. All right. Let's go around and resort these, custom sort by net foreclosure profits. Because we're going to do largest to smallest. Okay, so that gives the biggest profit. If we're going to buy something, we end up having to foreclose on it. That's where we want to look at these things. Okay, so 72 grand on this one. 70, that's where we want to look at. Probably anything really probably over 35. Now it's paying your investor 10% of the money, and it's assuming a year. Okay. So now that we have these, let's go look and see what states they're in and foreclosure timeframes for the most part. Okay. And that's where we get there. Look at that. Indiana, okay. Legal balance is about 337. Foreclosed. Let's look at it. Let's see what it looks like. Share my screen so you can see I just dropped into Google to see what it looks like. This is what the address looks like. Oh, look at that. That's from June of last year. That's a good looking property, right? Hey, that's a bad newly built home. I like that all day, right? Let's go back here and see what the value of this thing is. So 323 is what they say the value is. Okay, 323. Probably. All right. So original balance is 306. So you got a little bit upside. Not much equity, so you can maybe even make a little bit more, but I'd be willing to bet that's in pretty good shape, right? You buy it at 240. 337 is the legal balance, so it's just right at there. Difference in that, you borrow the money at 10% for, say, a year. You make 72. That one could be a potential profit margin on that one. Pretty nice. Okay. And this one, let's look at this here real fast. Escape. Let's go over here. When did they finance this thing? When did this originated? 3 years ago. 30 in original term was 345. Townhome was valued at 312. So they bought this in June of 2022. And they stopped paying December of last year of 2023. Yeah, that one would make sense. And that's where I'd come in. I'd make an offer at 240, right? Let's look at the one now. The one in Florida, you're gonna do. We got to worry about insurance on that stuff. But let's just still take a look at it anyway. Kiss of me. This one. All right. This is a photo from May of this year. Doesn't look like it's occupied, does it? Yeah, it just doesn't look. Got a lockbox. Well, that's May of this year. So it's got a lockbox on it. Maybe it's one of these well, it's sad. Okay. Let's go back and see when this one is. This is probably in really good shape. This one was financed in May of 2022. Stop making payments. Yep, October. So they made well, no, they made a year of payments and stop payments. 24 months behind. That's a foreclosure. Now, on this one, you got to worry. I would probably go in and find out what insurance costs could be, and I'd probably drop my bid by the insurance costs on this one. All right. Gives me it's not a bad area. It's just that looks like it's vacant. See what's going on. It's not listed for sale. Let's go look at the one here in San Antonio. All right. Mount Laurel Drive, San Antonio, Texas. Now, the nice thing about Texas, it's faster foreclosure. So your yield would probably be a little higher. The $64,000 profit net. They are this is originated in October of, they haven't paid November of 2000. Wow. Okay. So they're going to have more equity. They stopped paying October of 2023 as well, but they originated it back in September of 2015. Oofta. So 235. So I'd be willing to bet this one's got more value. Let me share my screen so you guys can see. $289. And it's listed for sale. They're trying to sell it right now on a half acre. It's pending. I got that wood paneling. This might be a little bit older home. Yeah, some of those dark salty. It's not a bad looking house, right? Got a pool in the backyard. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,300 square foot, and about a half acre, 289. Wow. So let's go back here to our spreadsheet. So there you go. So maybe you don't have to foreclose. You buy it at buy it at 188. You get full payoff. You may not need to have to foreclose. So your foreclosure profits might be, well, you're still going to have your 10% on what you borrow, but you may not have the $5,000. So you're paying about 70. That's a desirable offer right there. Okay. Let's go down here. Let's go down to Kingwood, Texas here too. Kingwood's team, high school baseball team, won the state championship last year. So same thing on this one. It's got a net potential profit of 65 or 49 after your money costs and foreclosure costs. This one was originated back in 2018, pre-COVID, December of 2023. So they stopped paying. Okay, 22 months behind. Go back here, screen, and share it. Kingwood, Texas. Kind of out by Humble. Okay. This photo is from May of a couple years ago. So let's just click over here. There we go. Not a bad looking property, right? What's the value on this thing? 282. And it's off market, but it was listed at some point. 3-bed, 3-bath, 2,300 square foot, 282. I don't get why they just put photos of houses. But okay, still not a bad looking property. You get what I'm saying? Questions, comments, concerns? What's up with these that aren't in white? Let's see here. Our numbers. Oh, these are the ones that are that mid-range, 5-month or longer. That's right. That's why they're white there. Okay, so no. Oh yeah, that's right. They are white because they're in the middle there. They're only like how many months behind are these? Yeah, between 5 and 12. Okay, so this one but they're also foreclosure bankruptcy. This one here. Okay, so let's look at this one in Baltimore. Balance 259 originally. Look at this. This is not bad. 398. Oh. It's in one of those probably gated areas it can't get to. So let's look at the layers. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, can we see this house from here? No, it's through there. Okay. Does this help you guys? Do you understand kind of the process a little bit more for you? If you wanted to, like I said, if you wanted to get some stuff that could be a good mod or good reinstatement cash flow performing note for you, yeah, then go there. We start getting down to these foreclosures and they start getting a little skinny. So there's where you probably want to adjust it. So the net foreclosure process, where you get these stuff that's low profit, is not really worth it. I like to be, where I'm going to make 25 at least for the most part. But still leaves you a chunk. So, let's look at the one in Austin, Texas here. 624 for Elfin Way. Original balance, they only owe 103. 27. It's kind of the border of that. It's a VA loan fixed. They're 15 grand behind on bank payments. Yeah. They're 27 months behind. Why they haven't been foreclosed on, I don't know. I mean, now if they're active military, then it wouldn't make sense to do it. I wouldn't foreclose. Let's go back here. I would go more the right. Hey, let's just do it. Let's just do it cash for keys. And this one is, where is it located? Let's first see where it's located. So it's on the east side of Austin. This is Toll Road, 183 Toll. There's 35. Yeah, so it's on the east side. Rogers Hill. So the airport's down there. So it's not too far from the airport. Between 290. So it's basically halfway between 290. Okay. Got a lot of growth going down here. See a lot of these cookie cutter neighborhoods. That's it. Right there. Let's go back here. Oh, there we go. They updated the map. This is from March of last year. So they painted. Oh. Hey, it's the only one with an orange garage door. Surprised they got away with it with the HOA. Don't care. It's not bad. I mean, that's a small little cookie cutter property. Let's see what the value is on this one. Zillow gives it a value of 275. Okay, so 275. Yeah, it's doubled in value since they financed the thing, but okay, so that's the thing. You foreclose, you probably get outbid at the auction. That's fine. 119. Paid 82. That's a pretty good $27,000 chunk. Pretty easy to, if it doesn't, you don't get outbid, you have an asset that's worth 250. Could be a nice little. Let's look at here. What's the P&I payments? $584 a month. Taxes are gonna be a little higher on it. 6 to 24. Let's go. Let's see what the rent rates are. Get a rent rate on here now. $1,800 a month. Yeah, I can see that. Somebody bought at the peak. They thought probably. Yeah. Yeah, it's a 500. Yeah, you'd make $500 a month if you kept it as a rental if it didn't sell. You know, that's something you got enough on there. Okay, so John says something here. Hey, Scott, we looked up the Elfin property in Austin. We passed it because there is a disabled vet exemption. Yeah, feels wrong to foreclose. Okay. It feels wrong to foreclose. But that's the thing to think about it. If they're not making their mortgage payment, this is where it would make more sense. Like let's give you cash for keys, right? Depending on how extreme. Now you could go search who the borrower is and see if how extreme they are. I get, but they're not making a mortgage payment, they're gonna get foreclosed on. And if they get foreclosed on, they may not get anything at the foreclosure auction. So this is why it would make sense. Like, listen, hey, we're buying the note, we're gonna give you an opportunity, let's give you some cash for keys. I mean, if they got 100 grand in equity, give them 50K and get them out of the situation because they're gonna lose that house eventually. Somebody's gonna foreclose on it. And I agree, it feels bad, but you run a business. If you don't want to do the deal, don't do the deal. Okay, totally fine. But you have an opportunity to help somebody there. Like, depending on how old they are, stuff like that. They're 22 months behind. That's not a good thing. They're going to get foreclosed on, and you have the opportunity to help somebody. Yeah, if you can make money helping somebody, that's great, right? buy the note and then help them sell the property. Turn around and list it and help them sell it. Okay. That's an opportunity. Let's help you sell the property so you're not getting out of a bad situation. Let's put some money in your pocket. Because look, if you go back to it and you're making and you're gonna make 27,000 on it. All right. Helping somebody, yeah, they owe pay off the legal balance is 119. They sell it and put 75 grand in their pocket for a sale. That's still helping you and you're winning. You're helping them. Because at some point somebody's gonna buy it and foreclose on it and not help them. Okay. Sometimes you have to have that come to Jesus meeting with people, and you may be the better solution to help them. Otherwise, other people would take advantage. Like, I'll give you an example. Cal Ewan was working on a deal, and he gave the borrower 75 grand cash for keys because it made more sense to help that lady. It made more money for him too because he was able to do it. Now, if he won't sell it, then okay, I'll give you got 100 grand in equity there. You may not get anything. I'll give you 50K to get out of the property, and let's put you into some place that is going to help you. All right. Because they're not making their payment for, don't know. We would look at the servicing notes to find out exactly what's going on with the borrower on that stuff. Does that make sense, John? I'm going to bid on it. All right. I will bid on that one myself. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Let's look down here some more. See here. Let's look at the one in Dallas, Texas, and then we'll look at the one in Nashville, Tennessee. So this one in Dallas, Texas, 24,000 is kind of in the border there. Let's see when it was originated. 3.75. So it's quite a few, probably, yeah, they're okay. They are late payments. Bought this back in 2016 and haven't paid since November of 2023. This one, your normal little cookie cutter home, it's worth 245. Okay. Off market. And it's a photo from July of this year. Yeah, not bad. Same thing. It's occupied and they're not making payments. Okay. And they owe 120. This is the same thing. You buy it. You're not going to need any rehab costs really with that. You turn around, sell it at the foreclosure auction, and you make $24,000 on what you invested it, basically. The foreclosure profit, 33 minus 10% money cost. Yeah, 24,000 on it. That could be a pretty good day. Let's look at the one in Nashville and come back to the one in Harlingen. Because you don't see a lot of stuff. Well, I mean, you are seeing more stuff in Nashville than you have in the past, but still not as much. All right, this one in Nashville, it is, ooh, okay, it's outside of Nashville. Oh, let's see what it looks like from the front. Oh, not bad. Yeah. This is a photo from 6 years ago, though. And let's see, did they update it? Oh, they have updated. So they painted it white. Okay. That looks better than an orange brick. Old stuff does. 4-bedroom, 1-bath. 318. Okay. Same thing on this. 318. They only owe 138. They haven't made payments for 14 months. That also could be a desirable one as well. Okay. Yeah. It's 23,000, but it's a faster foreclosure state. Yeah, same thing. Like, get paid off at the auction, so you don't have to take the property back. It could be relatively recent. Let's look at the one in Harlingen. Harlingen is down in the valley. My aunt, who is a snowbird, actually spends half her year down in Harlingen. There's an airport out of Harlingen as well, too. Not a very big one, but still an airport. Southwest flies out of there. All right. Snake Lane in Harlingen, Texas. 210, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,308 square feet. So it's set to go to auction November 4th. Okay, look at this. So it's set to go to auction in a month. Okay, so 210. This is if you can close before a month. So 113 is original balance. It's worth more than that. Same thing. You could step into this one, buy the note. Say if you could buy it at 66 and make 24 and at auction less than a month. That's a pretty good yield. I like that one. All right. So people always, the thing, guys, if you'd like to get access, if you're not a WC and crew member and you're on here the first time, hey, first of all, welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay. Our monthly membership is $97 a month. It gives you some access to some tapes and deals like this, along with access to our replays on our classes. We do a coaching call on Mondays. I think we're going to move the coaching calls back to Monday nights. They're usually Monday at noon, but I think we're going to start moving them back to Monday nights because we seem to get more access to folks there, more people joining in here. But for $97 a month, ladies and gentlemen, you'll get access to a virtual workshop here in November. You'll get access to the replays. You get, you need a call with me. You can do so by reaching out to me and we'll go through a deal or two. We'll upload tapes that are available to you. You get access to tapes like this you can make offers on, whether it's 1 or 100. It's the biggest bang for the buck in the note industry. I'm going to tell you that right now. The one requirement, we ask you to be around for 6 months on it because we do give you access to the workshop, the online workshop. If you're going to, and then next year when we have a in-person one, you'll get a very big discounted seat to that as well too for you. But the way to get access to this tape, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this exact tape that I have right here with what I figured into, and I'll save it, and then I'll upload it back into the Basecamp group for our WC and crew members and coaching students to take a look at. So if you want to adjust your bids, do that, make offers on it. I'd love to have you guys. We're here to help you. If you've got money burning a hole in your pocket and you need help getting a deal closed or help with it, reach out to me. I'll help you. Hey, I got 20 grand in IRA. I need to do something, or 40 grand in IRA. I need to do something. Reach out to me. We'll help you find a deal that makes sense for you on that as part of your WCN membership. Okay. But also, guys, think about our one-on-one coaching. I'm very proud of our coaching students who are out there kicking ass and taking names. And so feel free to book a call with me at talkwithscottcarson.com. We go out and help our investors find deals. Our one-on-one coaching students get first access to deals. They also get preferential treatment when it comes to the bids that come in. All right. So if there's 2 bids coming in and one is a coaching student and one's a non-coaching, the coaching students is going to get first priority because that's what they paid for. All right. And you have me helping you out with that. And that's a 6-month commitment on my part to help you close deals as a note investor. So get signed up today for our WC Crew membership. It's really easy to do so. All you got to go to is noteumbrella.com. That's http://noteumbrella.com. Yeah, if you want to do where you pay in full on the monthly, we can actually set that up. We'll actually on that we'll give you 2 months free. If you pay for a year in full, we'll knock it down till you get 2 months free. So basically, it's kind of like buying a partial. Pay for me 10 months, and I'll give you 12 months, or give you 2 months free for that. So yeah, we'd be willing to do that if you want to pay the full year in advance on that too for you. I don't have it on the website. I can send you a special link for that cord and go from there. All right. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let you guys go with this. I think it's about as far as we're going to get today on this stuff. I'm going to leave the rest of the numbers and asks and stuff like that for our students there to take a look at there for you. If you're interested and have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, talkwithscottcarson.com. That's talkwithscottcarson.com. I want to help you close deals. We want to help get things done for you. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I highly recommend you go over and watch the video. They're either on Spotify or YouTube. And then let's get you making some offers, because we see these types of deals and we're seeing more and more of these types of deals. I got another listing this morning, or actually last night, with another 30 notes that are non-performing, that can be cherry picked as well too for you guys. So having a chance to look at that as well. So I'm going to let you guys go, unless you guys have any other questions, comments, concerns from either on YouTube or here in Zoom. Please let me know. Brian, did you find something on here a little bit more to take a look at? Cord, Michael, Rodney, Sander, Vanessa. I know, John, you're in it as well, and you're watching live on YouTube. So, and I know that you had already submit some offers as well, which is great. So, if you don't know where to begin, hey, reach out to me. This is your first time, you want to get more into the note investing, it's really easy. Go to noteweekend.com. That's my free gift for folks out there. It's about a 2.5-hour class talking about how we find, fund, and flip deals. That's noteweekend.com. That's a free class for you to watch to see if you like how I teach. All right. And then we do have our upcoming workshop, November 14th through the 16th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Zoom. Tickets to that are usually $9.97, but we are running at 50% off at $4.97. Of course, if you're a WC Income member, there's no cost additional for you. If you're a coaching student, there's no additional cost that's included for you and your spouse. And even if you have an investor too, somebody is interested in maybe investing in you and they want to learn more about no investing, let me know. We're glad to put them in there for free for you to help you strengthen your business. Okay. So hopefully you found this valuable, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go make some offers. Let's make some money. We're going to see more and more stuff of this come up here in the fourth quarter into the first of the year as well. So let's go take some action, and we'll see you at the top. Hope you found it valuable, everybody. God bless you too, Sander. Thanks, everybody. Bye.